we would be seeing is how do we notify this user. So let's say right now we have our custom table. So in most cases, ServiceNow instances are configured to send out emails. In personal developer machines, that is in our procuring an instance for testing purposes or for your own activities, you sending out emails are disabled by default. But whenever on a customer instance, ServiceNow always has an email box configured. So which means the instance can actually send out emails and receive incoming emails. And we can decide what to do and how we can configure that. Do we need to send out emails, and what happens when we receive emails? Going back to this, let us check our table right now. So we created service provisioning request and we loaded all this data, right? So as and when there is service provisioning request, let us try to go ahead and create a notification for this. So how do we do? Again, you can go for additional actions, configure. At the bottom, you have notifications. You can go ahead. See that currently there are no notification configured for this particular table. So we can go ahead and configure a new notification, and we can decide what are the contents that we can actually send. So I'm going to say that this notification is about provisioning information. So I can just service provision application. The table gets automatically populated because I'm actually configuring it from the table. Category will leave it default. And then there are three sections for us here. When do we send this? We can send it during record insert or updated. And in our scenario, I'm going to just select insert. So as and when a service provisioning request is created, we can define this to get triggered. And there are other ways to actually trigger this. This is the trigger point where the notifications are fired. So event is fired and there is some more concept called triggered. So we'll keep it simple, record inserted or updated, and I can actually set some conditions. So conditions meaning only, I don't need to send this for all users. So I can just keep it to a dedicated group, or only if a record matches certain condition, like, notification need to be sent only to platinum members or things like that. We can configure those conditions. So this is the trigger point. The next is, this is where we decide who do we send this. So we can write some script, set all those values, go to the advanced view, and perform all this. But we'll keep it simple. We have the groups, we have the users created. Ideally, who should this notification go? Whoever is making the service request. So in that case, we can dynamically, try and add this in here. What it will contain. In the content section, we can add from script like who we can send. But for this example, we'll keep it simple. We'll give the user that we created. So our demo users can go with this one and close this. So what will happen is, in time this notification is triggered, it will always go to the demo user. Again, for testing purposes, you cannot actually send an email to end users, right? So when you are working on notifications, make sure that you have a dedicated test box or a test email box to which you can always trigger this email for testing purpose. And then you can go ahead and manually add the group. So let's say if in the service provisioning box, if I have a field, so right now we had plan, total price, and all those. So I can add a field that says user and get the user data here, and then select the user's email box from this. So that way it becomes dynamic. So I can do this way, or I can write some scripts. So we are deciding that we are going to send it for a test user. So as and when anybody creates a provision request, it always goes to this test box. That is going to be demo user 2. And then email template. Ideally, if you observe, every email will have some unsubscribe and preferences at the bottom of any email. So this gets added automatically. You can create our own email templates and then do this, but again, we'll keep those things default and we'll move on. So let's go for the subject. Here's your provision request. I can actually give the request number. So these are the fields that will be available for us. Right now, I need to just give the number. So I can select this. The number can also be selected from here. Your service version number is so and so. Use this for further reference. Opted plan is this. Opted plan is this. And the total premium for the plan is this. So I can give it this way. I can let us just get look and feel. And again, as and when I type here in the message HTML content, in the backend, what happens is it actually converts this into a HTML code. So this becomes like this. I can make it more intuitive. I can add some table. We can, change the text color, add the formats, attach some links, videos. All these are available, but we'll keep it as simple as possible to get started on seeing how this notification works. So we are adding this, we are provisioning all these details, and then I can say any queries, contact support at example.com. That's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and save this. And now, as and when we create a service request, this particular configuration will trigger emails. So to test that, let us first go look into our email logs. The email logs will give us a high level information about what all email that has been sent out from the system. So we can go ahead and create our provisioning request. Here we have this. Let us go ahead and create something new. So I'll change the number. Let's give the plan to the total price. It is going to be this. And let us save this. So the provisioning request is saved. And right now, the assumption is as soon as this is saved, that is created or a record is inserted, an email should have been triggered. And that is what we are seeing here. This is the one that just got created. We can open this. Here's the subject that we gave. So the subject is just the one that we have provisioned here. Here's a provision request. It has given the provision request number, and the body right now is in the HTML format. So in the email log, we can actually see what is happening. The type is sent ready because, as I said, sending out from the machine is, the personal developer instance is not enabled. Mostly, I believe it's from the service no feature side. But in your customer instances, if we have email configured, this will go ahead and shoot out emails to whatever email ID that we are giving here in the recipient list. You can see what has triggered. This is the notification that we just created. The email log gives us, and if there are any attachments, that goes and gets added here. We have an option to preview our email. So our email might look something like this. This is the template, and observe that there is a watermark added for unique identifications. So the provision number is, again, the number comes dynamically. And the opted plan right now, we have selected platinum, and it has also given the total price. And again, we can actually do a mail to support, or clicking it, it will open an email box and we can write some emails. So this is around sending out emails from ServiceNow based on whatever configurations that we are providing here. And again, I can send the email, I can configure it unupdated, or we can write some trigger conditions also. So those conditions are nothing but events. Those are called events. So there are two types of events. One completely dependent on event management and other systems, and the other one is the core platform feature that is provided for triggering emails. So the one, let's forget that there is nothing called event management at this point in time. We are only focusing on the platform feature, that is event. As and when there is an event fired, this notification gets triggered. So in the backend, we also have event fired option. So I can in a scripted way, I can fire an event, and when that event is fired, this notification can be triggered. So if we look at events, even for the one that we just created, this should be on the system policy events. And if we look at the event logs, in the backend, it has actually triggered an event. See this particular one, notification engine process, it has actually fired this specific event to trigger our notification that we have configured. And since the event is fired, the notification is triggered, the emails is sent out. These are the details, and this is the event name, notification engine process. So by default, whenever any event is configured in a way that record is inserted or updated, it fires this notification engine process event. And since this event is processed, it gets all this data from this place, whatever that we have configured, sets these values here, and then once this is processed, we have the state, it will fire notifications. Similarly, when it comes to email coming inside ServiceNow, there are ways that we can decide what it needs to do. So we have an inbound email and there are inbound actions. So in an inbound action, I can decide what to do with any email. In most cases, whenever there's an email coming in, and if we are the user is allowed to create, again, there are domain policies defined on the property level. So we can allow only certain companies to send email to this ServiceNow instance on a property level. And we can see this configuration as and when there is an email coming into ServiceNow's inbox, it will go ahead and create an incident. So the target table is this. Action type is record action, and it is going and creating a new table. A new record in the incident table. The informations and actions, this is where the field mapping between the event body and the current values on the table comes into picture, and it's just the inbound action. If you want email processing to happen, this is the place that we need to go ahead and configure. So this is all about configuring notifications and playing around with instances, email notification. So as and when a particular condition is satisfied, we can send out emails, and we can also process the emails when it is sent to the instance. We can write our own inbound email action and then decide what that email should do. Should it create an incident? Should it create a custom record? All those can be